On this episode 130, can you believe that, of the podcast, I'm going to talk about tandems, lights, and cladding. So let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Luke Who's Talking podcast. Now, before we get into the first segment, a couple of housekeeping things for you. So I'm recording this episode. I'm using my Osmo Action, and it's in quote 4K. So I'm going to see if I can just crop these sides a little. I usually just use my webcam, but I thought I might try something different. I feel like I used to use the Osmo previously. I can't remember, but crop these sides. I might use that more going forward, because the quality, I think, is a little bit better. Anyway, so that's that. Also, I have been in touch with my jingles person, and they reckon that they have been unwell. Not too great. But they also reckon that the jingles will be produced at some point. So, yeah. Still no jingles for the audio version. I'm not going to jingle until I get my jingles, right? Until I get my new ones. So, yeah. I'm just doing this. My hands are going to be off the screen if I crop the edges, but anyway, whatever. So, let's get into the first little story. Now, 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Might have been. I don't know. And look, a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine, so I have a friend, and they have quite a collection of bicycles. I think they have about 50 or close to, and they have a penny farthing and a lot of old bicycles. A lot of bicycles you probably can't actually ride. They would fall apart, but they have a lot of bicycles. Anyway, so they sent me a message and they said, what are you doing? I don't know why I said it like that before, but they're like, what are you doing? And I said, it was about 2 o'clock. I said, well, look, I've just got home. I have been out for a bicycle that day. Anyway, and they said to me, oh, do you want to come for a ride on my tandem? And I thought, I don't know. My initial thought was no, because I'd already been out for a ride. But I said, oh, look, I've already been out for a ride. Where are you going to take your tandem? So they said they were going to take along Rosevears Drive. So local people to me will know what Rosevears Drive is, but it's basically just a road that goes up, runs up the river. It's about, I think from one end to the other it's about 8 or 9 Ks. If I remember correctly, like one way. So there and back's we'll say about 20 or so. So that's fine. Why am I going? Oh, that's fine. So I said, okay. And like it's reasonable. First, I'd say 2/3 of it is flat. The last third or quarter, whatever you want to say, is uphill. So I said, oh, yeah, okay, sure. So I get around to the start of, he goes, okay, about 4 o'clock. So I said, cool. So I get there. He's there already. Bike's unloaded, just checking it over. And he goes, I was absolutely stitched up. But he goes, you'll have to go on the front. And I'm thinking, all right, okay. So you'll have to go on the front because, I'm taller, blah, blah. It'd be easy for me on the front, blah, blah. Which I thought just like I was completely stitched up. Yeah, and I'd never ridden a tandem bike before, and I had never been on the front of a tandem bike before. But basically, you're on the front. That means you're in charge of steering, the brakes, the gears. You're in charge of the bike, I guess, really, if you're on the front. So we got on the bike, got going, a little bit wiggly to start off with. But really, once we got going, it was fine. It was okay. really. But it was quite the experience. And their tandem has sort of bigger mountain bike tires on it, and they were bouncy. They were bouncy as well, so it was sort of bouncing along, and yeah, it was very interesting. I think the tandem bike is good in regards to excuse me, in regards to communication, because you have to pedal together. And also, if you're coming into a situation where you want a freewheel or something, you have to be like, stop pedaling, like freewheel it, stop pedaling, so the bike can roll. And then sometimes there was like gears, changed them down, up, whatever. So yeah, it was it. It was an interesting experience. That's for sure. And I think I probably would tandem again. I think I'd have a go on the tandem again, but it was it was interesting. It was interesting, that's for sure. But anyway, let's. It was fun. It was fun. Anyway, I was stitched up though. I'm convinced I was stitched up. He's like, oh, okay, I'll ask Luke. He will pedal the bike, or steer it, change the gears, etc. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get into the next story. This next bit's going to be a complete rant. I can assure you of that. Christmas lights. I'm still seeing some houses with Christmas lights up and on. And it's February. We're month 2 into 2025. Let's just let that sink in. January is such a joke of a month. Why does it exist? Nobody cares about January. It's just there because something has to be first. It's completely it. Also, February is also a complete joke. It's the 9th of February today, time of recording. So you'll be hearing this on the 14th. The month is half over because Feb only has 28 days in it. What? The first 2 months of the year, complete joke. Why do they exist? Who knows? They're just there because something has to be first and second month of the year. So they're like, we'll get the 2 joke ones out of the way first, right? But I'm still seeing Christmas lights, and it is month 2 of the year. What are you doing? It must be just a situation of people have put them up. Like, I'm not seeing big extravagant ones. Okay, I'm just seeing like small setups, like in trees and such. Some I think still on a house on the gutter. Like, it's just like they're not massive big setups, but they are still lights. It's like people just put them up, and the light is on a timer, and they're kind of like, oh, because it's not a big setup. They have, like, it's not obvious, I guess, maybe, that there's like a massive light setup. But I'm calling them Christmas lights, right? And they are still up, they're still working, they're still functioning. Take them down. Or, if you don't want to take them down, unplug them. Turn them off. Well, actually, no, turn them off, pull them out of the plug. Because there is no chance of them going if that is the case. Shut them down. It is not Christmas. You don't have lights for Easter. Just keep them shut down until December, okay? And then everything will be okay. Just shut it down, turn it off. No, don't need them, okay? It's February. So I'd just like everybody to reflect on this. Turn your lights off, unplug them, shut them down. Just shut it down. Shut them down. Anyway, that was less ranty than I thought. Let's get into the next little thing and we'll wrap it up. So, I was talking to my mum recently, and so the family has a shack, farmhouse, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, there's two, I'll describe it in two bits. So you've got the original part of the house is concrete, and you can see it's like layered up from where like the concrete's been poured, it's laid up. And it's a new, quote unquote newer bit. I'm not sure what the actual age of it is, but it was renovated in the late 1980s, at a guess. And it has cement sheeting on it, and it's getting old, ragged, not great. So Mum was saying to me she wants that replaced with like something akin to weatherboards, right? And I said to her, okay, well, I'll ask one of my colleagues, some people at work, because, I work for an architect, not an architect. But I will ask some of my colleagues what are their opinions. So I asked one of my co-workers. Now they do, the lady who does our interior design, I asked her, I was like, this might not be a question for you, but I will ask you anyway. So we had a conversation about some options, and she said, okay, instead of having boards like horizontal, like weatherboards, how about vertical boards? Because it would be a nice bit of a contrast, right, from the concrete layers. So I said, yeah, sure, cool. So she sent me some links to some websites, some pictures, got some samples, brought them home. Mum, she's like, I said, so-and-so said vertical boards. And Mum goes, why? Like, justify that position for me? Which I was amused by. And I said, they reckon it'd be a nice contrast. As opposed to having it all horizontal, have some vertical boards. So it's just like, change it up a bit. So Mum's like, nah, not on board, if I could use that term, with that. So I said, okay. So then on the next day I went back to work and I said, hey, look, Mum reckons you need to justify your position as to why vertical boards. And so our interior lady's like, okay. So she gave me a bit more info, some photos of like vertical and horizontal boards together, etc. Forwarded them off to Mum. She's like, nah, not into it. Which is like, is amusing. She's just like, nah, you've got to have horizontal, like none of this vertical board stuff. So I was like, client from hell. But it's very interesting. Like, I guess you think to yourself, okay, well, I want a particular look, or I want, weatherboards, which of course are horizontal, typically. And if somebody goes, well, how about you have vertical boards and just change a little bit? It's very interesting that because you want a particular look or a particular something, even if, we're just going from horizontal to, we're just flipping it, right? From left to right to up to top to bottom. But no, can't happen. Can't do it. So anyway, let's wrap it up. Well, everybody, look, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Thank you very much for watching it. If you're watching it out there on YouTube land, very unexciting stuff. Remember when I used to be like riff about, I was walking down the street and saw a car go past. It only had 2 doors on it. The ones on the back had fallen off. Those stories don't happen anymore because I'm a boring person. Actually, this week, though, something. So, just for context, I'm recording this on Sunday. You'll be listening to it on the Friday. But, so from the context what I am currently at now, this week something is going to happen, I think. That could be something to talk about on the next show. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Hope you've enjoyed watching, listening, all that jazz. Thank you very much. And I will see you later.